Hello and welcome. This is AMECO Haber English Service and you're watching our daily updates live from the studio. I'm Gaila Damu. Do stay with us. The European Union, through its partnership with UNICEF and World Food Programme, has granted 33 million euros to restore essential education services and implement school feeding programs so that children living in conflict-affected areas can get back to learning. Abebe Brahani reports.
EU delegation head to Ethiopia, Ambassador Roland Kovia, inked the grant contract agreement with UNICEF representative in Ethiopia, Gianfranco Rotilano, and World Food Programme Ethiopia country director and representative, Claudia Lividar, yesterday. During the signing event, EU delegation head to Ethiopia, Ambassador Roland Kovia, said the contract signed between the European Union and United Nations bodies will benefit Ethiopia's education system in an integrated manner and essentially benefit the children in conflict-affected areas of the country.
These contracts is at the level of 1.8 billion beers, so it's about 33 million euros. But I prefer the Ethiopian figure, it looks nicer. And this will be to restore the essential education services in conflict-affected areas, obviously for the children. This program and this contract that we are about to sign is going to benefit the education system in something that is very important in an integrated. And we are going to provide not only education, but health, protection, school feeding, water and sanitation, reconstruction and rehabilitation of infrastructure, and so on and so forth.
Noting that children are the innocent victims of conflict where it disrupts and interrupts their education and their lives, he stated that this funding will strengthen the education system in an integrated manner through the provision of education, health, protection, school feeding, wash and the reconstruction and rehabilitation of schools. He added that children's safe access to quality education is critical to the future of the country. UNICEF representative in Ethiopia, Gianfranco Rotilano, said that the education component implemented by UNICEF will include the rehabilitation of schools, reduce rates of school dropouts and also scale up the My Home Bete approach. He pointed out that providing service to children, especially girls, to recover from the trauma they have endured due to conflict and also teach life skills so that they can become future doctors, teachers and leaders.
This is very welcome, not only because with this fund we can restore and rehabilitate some of the schools, but also because we can put the children back into schools with the aid of WFP. Because when in schools there is a meal for children, children come to school much more happily, and they keep coming because there is beyond the fact that they learn and they become citizens, there is also the good reason that they eat.
The funding will also support World Food Programme to provide nutritious school meals to 50,000 children across northern Ethiopia. World Food Programme's school meal will ensure that conflict-affected school-age girls and boys, including IDPs, continue to receive access to food, and this will attract children to enroll in school and continue their education. Overall, this support will benefit nearly 80,000 children, and 60 schools will be constructed or rehabilitated.
State Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Burtukan Ayano, said repatriating of Ethiopians living under harsh situations in Saudi Arabia will continue in an intensified manner. Fikradi Zaudu has the details.
It is to be recalled that the government of Ethiopia established National Repatriation Committee for citizens from Saudi Arabia and other countries that comprised of members from 16 sector offices. The repatriation of citizens from Saudi Arabia has been resumed with the arrival of some 1,170 Ethiopians. The returnees were warmly welcomed by State Minister of Foreign Affairs Ambassador Burtukan Ayano along with other government officials at Addis Ababa Bole International Airport part. During the occasion, the State Minister of Foreign Affairs and head of the National Committee, Ambassador Burtukan, said the repatriation of Ethiopians living under harsh situation in Saudi Arabia will continue in an intensified manner. Noting the government had so far managed to repatriate more than 71,600 citizens, Ambassador Burtukan said more than 30,000 Ethiopians will be repatriated in the repatriation activities that officially resumed. The State Minister added the government of Ethiopia has carried out adequate preparations in partnership with other entities to realize the stated plan.
Let's begin with your reaction to the peace agreement.
A right move in the right direction.
What were the key points?
Day one, even for 1 minute, if we really saved a dying life, that is success. Disarming particularly irregular army, because in any country you expect monopoly of violence, as we call it in political science, is only to be held by a state, a government that's leading the country.
What kind of lesson could this agreement give us as we move forward?
So the implication of disarming the rebel movement has huge implication for others who are, as we said, as we now speak, there are some irregular armies in the western part of Ethiopia, southern part of Ethiopia, and it also sends clear message that they too should be disarmed.
What are the pitfalls?
Particularly from the rebel side, those who are in diaspora, or almost disagreeing, or telling to the face, speaking, coming with some negative propaganda, because they are away from reality in here in Ethiopia. How people suffering, they don't understand it. The people suffering, to be honest. When you start disarming, when you start DDRing, that is disarm, demobilize, and reintegrate the former fighting parties, what happens then? The technicality aspects. These could maybe raise some technical implementation, I don't even call it problems, but maybe some difficulties, but I'm sure the very principle is right, the very agreement on peace is right, then the implementation can also be successfully done. Implementing this peace accord, peace agreement is for good for all, not for only one side, to be honest. So if we really are thinking of prosperity of a nation, survival of a nation and the entire people, then I think we should believe in the philosophy of peace by peaceful means.
Iran's ambassador to Ethiopia, Samad Ali Lakizadeh, said that the peace in Ethiopia will definitely benefit the region and every corner of the world, as the peace, security and development are globally interlinked together. Abebe Burhani tells us more.
In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, Ambassador Lakizadeh said the peace agreement is a wise decision which will benefit all Ethiopians, the region and all corners of the world, stating that the peace deal is in line with the principle African Union, African solution to African problems. He said that Iran will support this wise principle. The ambassador also said that his country is ready to take part and assist the reconstruction efforts in the war-torn areas.
This is in line with the principal foreign policy of the African Union, which is African solution for the African problems. Iran always support this wise principle, and in line with this principle also supported and support the peace agreement among Ethiopians all. My government also expressed its readiness to, if there is a room and there is opportunity, to take part and to assist in the reconstruction of the country after this period of war.
Noting that the peace agreement is an important decision for Ethiopians, he said,
"This is an important decision, this is an important period for all Ethiopians, and Of course, I encourage in my capacity all Ethiopian to use this opportunity to make their country much more prosper and full of the joy and prosperity for all people and for the success of all Ethiopian as a whole.
Highlighting that Ethiopia is a multicultural country with diverse culture, religion and language among others, he said, as a federal country, diversity is a big asset for Ethiopia. The ambassador indicated that his country will provide support for the full implementation of this peace agreement. The ambassador pointed out that the peace deal is a step forward and has far-reaching implications to global peace and security, development as well as prosperity. He further said that
everybody, every country's security is linked with the others, with all with the region also. Then when there is a peace in Ethiopia, of course, this peace will also not only will benefit Ethiopia itself, but also for sure it will be in the benefit of whole region, because the peace and security and development in the world is linked together and interlinked together. Then this peaceful agreement, this peace agreement, of course, will also serve much more security and peace and prosperity and development, not only for Ethiopia but also for whole region, I mean Horn of Africa, and of course every step from every part, every corner of the world toward the peace, it is a step forward to a global peace and security.
According to the statement, Government Communication Service issued recently, the government of Ethiopia is fully committed to implementing the peace agreement. It is to be recalled that the peace agreement signed between the Ethiopian Peace Talks delegation and TPLF in Pretoria, South Africa, has reiterated respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ethiopia and to upholding the constitution of the country. And inconsistent with the constitution, the agreement also reaffirmed that Ethiopia has only one national defense force.
You're watching AMECO Haber English service, and now let's proceed to News Beyond Borders. The East African community is set to broker a new round of peace talks this week on the eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo amid heavy fighting between rebels and government forces. Fighting in the region has escalated in recent months as M23 rebels captured key cities in the province of Kivu as they clashed with the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo and advanced towards the key town of Goma near the border with Rwanda. Kenya's former president Uhuru Kenyatta is mediating on behalf of the East African community, a 7-state regional bloc headquartered in Tanzania. A joint East African community force was set up earlier this year to try and end the unrest. Kenya's current president William Ruto also headed to Kinshasa on Sunday to hold talks with his Congolese counterpart Felix Tshisekedi, as TRT World reported. The UN COP27 Climate Summit in Egypt has drawn praise for the creation of a loss and damage fund to help vulnerable countries cope with the destructive impacts of global warming. But there was also anger on Sunday over a failure to push further efforts on cutting emissions to keep alive the aspirational goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres reacted that this year's COP has taken an important step towards justice and he welcomes the decision to establish a loss and damage fund. He further stated that clearly it won't be enough to have any hope of keeping to 1.5 and the world needs to massively invest in renewables and in the addiction to fossil fuels. Other Global leaders also extended their concern, as TRT World reported. A ban on single-use plastic carrier bags has been in place in Kenya for slightly over 5 years now. It has led to a cleaner environment, as plastic bags were clogging drains, filling dump sites and endangering the lives of livestock that consumed them. However, one Kenyan man who played an active role in getting plastics banned in the East African nation says more still needs to be done to protect the environment. Brown Workana presents CGTN Africa report.
The photojournalist became a leading environmental activist when he campaigned for a total ban on single-use plastics.
A ban on single-use plastic carrier bags has been in place in Kenya for slightly over 5 years now. It has led to a cleaner environment, as plastic bags were clogging drains, filling dump sites and endangering the lives of livestock that consumed them. However, one Kenyan man who played an active role in getting plastics banned in the East African nation says more still needs to be done to protect the environment. James Wakiba is considered by some a hero in Kenya. The photojournalist became a leading environmental activist when he campaigned for a total ban on single-use plastic carrier bags. By 2015, he was vocal about the problem of plastic waste. He was unhappy that the only dump site in his town of Nakuru City was not only an eyesore, but also destroying the environment.
Essentially, garbage is supposed to be inside the dumping site or the landfill. But in this case, the garbage was leaving the landfill and going towards the road that I was using. It aches my heart to see plastics in a river. It aches my heart to see a green, beautiful place filled with plastic garbage. So the anger saw me start a campaign to address the issue of plastic pollution. I felt that I needed to do it myself.
He approached country authorities, but they did not act. He got more active with his camera, taking photos of litter, particularly plastic bags, and posting them on digital media platforms. He added that he made hashtags on Twitter and Facebook. He used that maximally and at times even wrote published articles in the mainstream media, as well as being invited for talk shows on radio stations calling for a ban on plastic bags.
That is something that had trended for a few days before the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Judo Hakungu, tweeted back with our hashtag and said she supported ban on plastic bags in Kenya.
In August 2017, Kenya made headlines when it banned single-use plastic carry bags. The new law was seen by many globally as the strictest ban due to the harsh penalties it imposed on violators.
I was excited. I felt, this is it. After all those years, 5 years of running a campaign, we are here. The government has listened and the ban of plastic bags has kicked off. I was super excited.
There has been a transformation in the public spaces, according to the photojournalist, including the once littered roads. Governments, however, need to invest a lot of resources in modernizing solid waste management. And if the waste management is fixed, Wakiba says the issue of plastic pollution will have been dealt with. But some people still use single-use plastic bags secretly due to their affordability and convenience. They are sneaked into the country and sold on the black market. Experts warn the bags contribute to climate change because large amounts of fossil fuels are used in their production. Plastic bags are also not biodegradable. Director of the Energy Security, Anja Barita and Climate Change Program in Sub-Saharan Africa, Conrad Adenor Stiftang says it is actually estimated that around 9% of the global oil goes into plastic production, and it is estimated that will increase to up to 20% in 2050. This means that plastic bags are the largest carbon sink in the seas. Oceans have the capacity to absorb carbon from the atmosphere, but with plastic waste, the seas are choked and their ability to now absorb the carbon emissions is hampered. This creates greenhouse emissions.
It's actually estimated that around 9% of the global oil goes into plastic production. And it's estimated that that will increase to up to 20% in 2050. So it's a very resource-rich industry that obviously, by producing plastics, you emit a lot of greenhouse gas emissions.
Wakiba's fight against plastics is still not over. He is now focused on getting the government to ban plastic bottles. With his camera and a huge social media following, he is optimistic that he can once again win the battle.
This is AMECO, our English service, and now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate. That's all the news we have for today. I'm Gaila Damu. Thanks for watching and stay tuned with the rest of our programs.